All right, my friends. So today I want to talk about how you're proving yourself right if you are replaying this message of you can't progress. Now, we feed into our bias, whether that's something that works for us in a positive way or something that works for us in a negative way. So if you're someone who's continuously convincing yourself that you can't progress because of what your past has shown or because of how you're feeling, then you're going to be feeding that story with evidence every day you continue to play that story in your head. So what I want to challenge you to do is think about the small wins you can accumulate throughout your next session. Is it just showing up? Is it doing one more kickflip that you wanted to do? Is it exploring another trick? Maybe it's even setting up a fresh board. Regardless of what those wins are, you want to use that as evidence to build that confidence and allow it to play into a story where it brings about action instead of feeling discouraged and ending up sitting out the session. I bring this up not because it's something that only shows up in skaters I coach, but it's also shown up in a lot of the sessions I've had where all I can think about is why I can't land a trick, whether it's the grip, the crappy board, the fact that I don't feel good, the fact that I don't have a good skate park, whatever the reason is. If we begin to dwell into those shortcomings, we're only going to be feeding doubt, we're going to be feeding discouragement, and we're just going to continue stirring this soup of negative emotions. Now, as a coach, where I see it playing in real time, which is super interesting, is when I challenge a student where immediately after hearing the challenge, the skater say something along the lines of, "Oh no, that's impossible," or "Oh no, I can't do that," or "No, I don't want to do that." What I find, it's not really that they think it's impossible or they think they can't do it. It's just simply they don't have the confidence to give it an attempt. Because I've found when a skater feels confident and empowered and they've built up enough evidence, then when they come face to challenges, it's not something where they back off from, but it's something they go into with a bit more curiosity and a bit more excitement. And this doesn't only apply to skaters of one age group, but it applies to everyone, because after calls I've had, after lessons I've had, it just takes one switch where we start to see a challenge as something to have fun with instead of something of fear. And this is very apparent even in my own situations. When I go film, for example, I'm going through a trick, battling it out, feels like a lot of suffering. But what allows me to push through is the evidence I've built throughout the years of my own skating. Now, it's easier said than done. And there are times where I feel defeated. But the important part is, even if I don't land the trick and I feel defeated, the questions you want to begin to ask yourself are questions that help you prepare for the next time you accept that challenge. Instead of feeding those doubts where you tell yourself things like, "I knew I couldn't do it," or "I couldn't do it because of the grip tape," or "I knew I wasn't going to do it. If only I had this, then I would have done it." You can either prove yourself right in that situation, or you can prove yourself right with strengthening a story that you can always refer to and basically remind yourself of how capable you are, but because it allows you to show up the next day and build that evidence. So it's not just about being mentally positive, but it's about allowing that to be the first step of you taking action towards building that evidence. It can be something as simple as showing up the next day, or taking it a step further is showing up with a bit more of a positive attitude and thinking about things to be grateful for instead of thinking about what isn't working in your favor. I know for myself, going back to when I'm filming tricks, something that keeps me in there, some evidence that I refer to, is understanding that it's not just myself, but it's a whole team working to get this clip. So it's me, it's the filmer, it's my sponsors, it's people who have shown belief and who have been there to see my skateboarding. So you want to think about how you can strengthen that evidence by adding more scenarios or thinking about how you can go about building it. So again, is it showing up consistently? Is it showing up with a more positive mindset? Is it thinking about what to be a bit more grateful for? So many times we focus on what we can do instead of focusing on what's tangible, what's in front of us, what is possible with what we have. And so working with what you have is the first step of building that evidence. That evidence is something you want to be able to reference so that when you come through challenge, you're not easily discouraged, but instead you're a bit more motivated, a bit more moved towards the action that's going to help you work with that adversity and push you towards progression in a way where you might have thought it wasn't tangible for you in the past. Something that has allowed me to progress with skateboarding with way less pressure is just thinking about how I can explore it, explore the tricks I have, the fundamentals, the tricks I've played around with in different variations, or even just improving how I can skate differently, right? Flow, create a better flow, challenge myself, but not with the intention of progress necessarily, but with the intention to build that evidence. And real quick, the evidence you attain should move you towards confidence, control, and curiosity as opposed to doubt, discouragement, and dissatisfaction. So the next time at the skate park, apply this mindset where you're building that evidence so that it can move you towards progression instead of keep you away from it. I want you to leave in the comments how you did so and ask any questions for clarification or anything you need me to elaborate on. I'm more than happy to do so on the lives or even in a future video. If you're interested in coaching or a call, you can hit me up at profe.carlos on Instagram, send me a message here through YouTube, or check out the lives, check out the memberships. There's 3 tiers. Each of them have their own focus, their own perks. So you might want to check that out. I want to shout out Loyal Tanji for being the first member on the 3rd tier, but also shout out everyone who's been on the lives. I appreciate you all, and it's going great. And I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Your feedback, your comments, everything helps. I want you guys to continue, but not just simply because I want to, but I want you to let me know what you need from me so that we can continue this conversation past this video. And I'll leave you guys with that. What do you guys think about the background? This is pretty nice, right?